Hi guys, and welcome back to the Old Gold TV. We've been away for a while, but finally we are uploading again on the channel, gearing up for the new season where we'll have loads of new excellent content for you, so subscribe for that. I guess, sorry for the lack of speaker and good quality sound on my part today. I'm not at home, I'm away, so yeah. That's why I'm not on my usual setup. I've tried to make the best out of it, but yeah, sorry for the sound quality. But we do have a very special video for you today. We are joined by Dave from Talking Wolves, and he's going to be giving us some insight, as well as my insight, on the players' pre-season performance. So we're going to be rating it out of 10. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Right then, guys, so I've got to rate a few players on Wolves pre-season. Let's see who I've been given. So I've been given, first one, Jimenez. I mean, of course, great to see him back on the pitch and in a Wolves shirt after such a serious injury last season, at the start of last season. And so it's been good to see him back. And of course, although we weren't expecting him to sort of, be back to his old usual self, I think we've certainly seen spells of that with his link-up play. Obviously, his positioning and finishing, especially for that goal against Stoke. And just getting involved all round, really. He scored in that behind closed doors friendly against Al-Shabaab from the penalty spot as well. So I think it's been very, very productive. So I'm going to give pre-season for Jimenez an 8. So I think that's very fair for Jimenez. But yeah, I'd give him an 8.
So, obviously, Dave went first, bringing you Raul Jimenez's rating coming back from injury, but now we are going to be moving on to Adama Traore. And he came back from Spain's Euros camp to Marbella, and to be honest, I think he did really, really well, only featuring in 2 games against Stoke and Coventry. And only really played just over 100 minutes in those 2 combined. But even still, only playing that amount of minutes, I think he had a real big impact on the squad, and has possibly had one of the best pre-seasons in our team. To be honest, he was just terrorising their defenders. They were fouling him left, right and centre. I know they are lower league defenders, so you've got to expect the Prem quality to be a little bit better, although, mind you, ours aren't that much better, to be honest. But yeah, I think he was really, really good, and one of our best performers, as I say. And considering he joined the camp late, I think he has been really, really impressive. So I'm going to give Adama Traore a 9 out of 10. Let's hand back over to Dave.
Leander Dendoncker, obviously we've only seen spells of him really. Nothing outstanding, but nothing too underwhelming, I suppose, with him. He's sort of done the job that he's needed to do. But at the same time, I still think, he's got his Wolves he's got his critics, his Wolves critics. And it still probably isn't quite what we're after. Done a good enough job, but I'm just going to go with a 6.5 for Donk. I think that's probably fair.
So now we move on to Fabio Silva. And he got his first goal of the campaign, started under Coventry. And to be honest, he's been pretty good in pre-season, if I'm going to be honest. He's provided a good target man, definitely bulked up physically, which can help him this season in the Premier League to win physical battles against the defenders in the Premier League, which we all know are very physical. Some nice tricks and flicks here and there, but yeah, his goal was a nice finish, a nice tap-in. He's not been terrible, he's been pretty good, but I think he hasn't been incredible. So I'll give him a 7 out of 10.
Trincao, new signing, of course, for Wolves from Barcelona on loan. We've got the option to buy him. Of course, he's coming across to a new country, new teammates. And I don't know what I expected, really, with Trincao. I think I expected him to do slightly better than what he has been doing. But it was clear to see that there is talent there. This may seem a bit harsh, but I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. Just want that little bit more from him this pre-season. But hopefully, when the season gets going, we'll see him firing, seeing him get some assists, and hopefully see him get some goals.
Next up for us on the list is Nelson Semedo. And I think Nelson Semedo has been really good playing in that attacking fullback role for Bruno Lage, and has definitely come on a lot since last season under Nuno. I think he did grab 1 assist, maybe more. I know he definitely got 1, giving it to Patrick Cutrone for a late winner against Real Betis. And to be honest, I think Nelson Semedo's had a really good pre-season. And I think he's shown promise that he could be an even better right-back than he was last season, and show signs of the quality he has in him, which he did start to show at the end of last season. I think one of the talking points is the fact that he's more attacking under Large. He's not bothered to take on a shot or put in a cross, where under Nuno he might have simply passed it backwards or back into the midfield. I think we saw that against Stoke when Raul Jimenez did grab his goal. Nice little step over from Semedo, a shot towards the keeper, and it was a good strike, parried out straight to Jimenez for the goal. So I think that's something you could see with Semedo this season, and I think he's developed really well as a player and had a really good pre-season. So I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10.
Jose Sa, again, is another one that, of course, we saw John Ruddy for a sort of 50% of the games. We've seen Jose Sa in others. Command of area seems really, really strong. His communication or his distribution seems good as well. There's been a couple of games where I've been quite impressed with his passing and so on. I'll give him a 7. I'll give him a 7. There were times where I think he could have dealt with moments slightly better. But overall, I don't think it's too bad a signing at all for Wolves. And he's done okay. He's done what he needed to do in pre-season. I think with a pretty weak defence in front of him, he's done what he can so far. Maybe 7's a bit harsh. Let's go 7.5.
Next up is one of the few new additions to the squad this summer, Yerson Mosquera. And you know what? I think just with as many Wolves fans, I am very, very happy with how Mosquera has performed. For only £4.5 million, you know, that appears to be a bargain. He's 19 years old, he's fast, he's physical, perfectly cut out for the Premier League. And I think if he can continue the form he was in pre-season, he could be an unstoppable rock at the back. Unfortunately, he did get injured in the game against Coventry, I think. What was it, Stoke? No, it was the Coventry game. He seems to have strained his hamstring. Reports from Colombia say 2 to 3 weeks out, where other places I've seen 2 to 3 months. I obviously hope it's the first option, 2 to 3 weeks, because he has been so good for us in pre-season, and along with Adama, he's had a really good one. So I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10, almost perfect.
Next up, Conor Coady, again another one that's joined the team quite late in pre-season. Only really saw him for some of the later games, really. I think he's done what he needs to do. Again, one of those players where people are unsure, and he's got his Wolves critics. I think the issue with Conor Coady is that if he plays, or Wolves, if Wolves want to play, and they've got to play a 5 at the back system, and that's what we've seen over the last few games. I thought he did quite well against Coventry. We've seen him for spells in many other games as well. But again, not being phenomenal. Let's say a 7 for Coady. I think in general, he's done sort of what he needed to do.
Next up on our list is the French fullback Ryan Aït-Nouri, and he hasn't really had much game time under Largue, with Marcel really playing well. But yeah, when he has, he's usually played at left wing in a 4-4-2. And he's played pretty well there. I think he's more suited to the left midfield role, just as a lot of Wolves fans think. But he's been okay. He's not been great. I think a 6 would be too harsh. Nothing special, but a 6.5 is probably fair.
João Moutinho, again, is another player where a lot of people wouldn't be surprised to possibly see him go. Wouldn't be upset to see him move on this summer. I think his legs are just starting to slow down slightly in a quite a big physical system. Possibly won't quite work out for him, but it's from what I've seen, you know, he's still got that quality, still got that class, but the physicality side of things will let him down. But again, I'm gonna be fair to him and give him a 7.
Next on the agenda for us is Morgan Gibbs-White. And this is a really interesting one, because in the games I've watched in pre-season, which is most of them, what I saw of Gibbs-White really, really impressed me. I think he got his 1 goal, didn't he, against Las Palmas, was it? Yeah, I think he got his 1 goal against Las Palmas. And he's been really tricky. He's been lots of flicks, lots of nutmegs in between the defenders, and he's really showing the potential that he's obviously there, the talent that he's got within him. So yeah, I'm really impressed with how he's performed, and I think that he can be a crucial part of our Premier League team in the future. I don't think he's done quite as well as Mosquera, not quite that kind of breakthrough, although if he keeps performing like this, you could definitely see him being a crucial part of our Premier League squad. So I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10.
Next up, Marcel. Wow, we've seen Marcel pretty much ever present in most of these games and still obviously not picked up an injury this pre-season. He's good. I think in the role that he's been asked to play, I think he's done a good enough job. For me personally, I would like a more attacking wing-back, someone like Aït-Nouri, bombing it up and down those wings. But you know, that's just possibly not the style of player he is. Pretty solid defensively, once again. No real downsides to how he's got on, in my opinion. So I'd, again, give him a 7.5.
Now we have Romain Saiss. He hasn't played all that much under Bruno. He's been okay when he has. Nothing special, though. You know, just the usual things we see from Romain Saiss. Pretty solid. But again, nothing special, not the fastest, although can match it in the physical game. I wouldn't be surprised to see him move on this summer. I wouldn't be too upset either. He's been okay. A 6.5.
Max Kilman, who has got a pretty good shout of starting the first game of the season now against Leicester. Again, there were rumours about his future at the club. Was he going to be moving on this summer? But it looks like he's nailed down a place and hopefully can continue to play. I think a lot of fans like Max Kilman and want to see him do well. Again, this pre-season, you know, he's had a decent amount of minutes, started a good amount of games. And in terms of centre-backs, he's probably, you know, we had Gerson Mosquera that people have been talking about and raving about. But Kilman's probably, you know, second choice right now in terms of, in fans' eyes, possibly to be a centre-back option. So, again, being pretty faultless, I'll give him a 7.5.
Now we have Willy Boly, and with Boly, you know, he struggled a bit with his hamstring recently, hasn't he? And he's gone out with another hamstring injury. Expected to be back by the end of August, as we heard today. It's not too long, but again, it's just another weakness in our defence. It's already the weakest point of our squad. We just don't need injuries in it. Same thing happened to Mosquera. It's frustrating, but these things happen. You've got to move past it. As for his pre-season, he was decent. We saw a fairly solid Boly back again. He wasn't bad, but again, he wasn't outstanding, you wouldn't say. The defence was fairly leaky in general, but, you know, I'll give him a 7. He wasn't bad.
Patrick Cutrone as my penultimate player. Cutrone's been all right, hasn't he? He's not been too bad at all. There's been spells where you can sort of see why he hasn't done well at Wolves, and then other spells where he just looks like a bit of a nuisance. And I think that's what you get with Patrick Cutrone, where you're not necessarily going to get 20, 30 goals a season from him, but he's going to sacrifice himself. He's going to cause a bit of a nuisance. And that goal against Betis was the winning goal in the end. He got himself in the right place at the right time. Wolves with a fantastic counter-attack. It was Semedo who whipped that ball in and Cutrone put it into the back of the net. I think it's been very productive for him. Is an 8 a bit too strong? Possibly. But I think I'm going to be fair to him. I think he's done well this pre-season. I'm going to give him an 8. That is probably overrated him, but there you go.
Now is Ruben Neves. And Neves, I've been really, really impressed with him pre-season. Just like Adama, fans have realised how important he really is to our team and that we should sell him at no cost. At first, the transfer window, it looked like Neves to be sold was 99% guaranteed. But now it appears that Neves is happy to stay at Wolves, and that the clubs aren't as interested as they maybe were at the start of the transfer window. And that's really good news for us because he's been pivotal for us. I think his standout performance was definitely against Coventry, grabbing himself a beautiful assist to Fabio Silva and a goal. It may have been deflected, but even still, Ruben Neves outside the box goal, you got to take those. They're rare to find these days. And I think Neves has been so good for us this pre-season. It's got to be a 9 out of 10.
Keanu Hoover's a weird one as well. He scored a fantastic goal, didn't he? Against Las Palmas. Really good goal that was. But other than that, he's been pretty underwhelming for me. Coventry especially, I was there and just watching him. I thought personally he was quite poor, and Andy gave away that penalty. So For that reason, I'd probably give him a 6, but because he scored the nice goal, I'll give him a 0.5. So for Ki-Jana Hoever, I'm going to say a 6.5.
And finally, just a quick one to finish off on John Ruddy. What a great keeper. What a great backup to have. He played 3 times in pre-season, I believe. It cannot be understated what he does in the dressing room for the club. John Ruddy, what a great guy. What a solid backup goalkeeper. 7 out of 10. That's going to end it off for today. Again, big thanks to Dave from Talking Wolves for coming on the channel and providing the great content that he does over there. So thanks very much for that. I'll leave his link in the description, not that he needs it. He's probably not going to get many subscribers off this video, you know. He's got way more subs than me. But again, yeah, thanks for coming on. And if you are wondering, the reason why we didn't include the likes of Theo Corbianu and Taylor Perry and, players like Nigel Longwick, it's because even though they did feature a little bit in pre-season, they're not going to be in and around the first team, and there's not really much point rating them when they're going to go off out on loan. So yeah, that's why we didn't include them. But thanks for watching. Thanks to Dave again, and I will see you next time.